Welcome to the podcast. My name is Father Bill W. I'm an Episcopal priest living here in Austin, Texas, and I've had the gift of recovery for the past 50 years. And for that, I am very, very grateful. The purpose of these podcasts, as I suspect most of you know, is to go a little bit deeper into the history of AA and the 12 steps, also to go deeper into the psychology and the spirituality behind the program. And we're excited to have a new video up on the website. Encourage you to go and visit that. If you haven't done so, it's at Two-Way Prayer. About a 45-minute video, and the purpose is to really explain the practice to people in a way that they can get a hold of probably the most transformational part of the early program, the Pioneer program, that somehow got left behind. So go visit that, start doing the practice, and let me know how it's going for you. We're doing a new series here, and this is titled Journey to the Inner World. And I'm interviewing people who are in recovery and have been practicing two-way prayer for a while, but also who have taken what may be, for at least for some of us, the next natural step in the evolution of the practice, and that's to do inner child work. I just think it flows very naturally from the one to the other. And for some of us, there's an incompleteness if I'm only doing the two-way prayer and not incorporating other elements like dream work and shadow work and inner child work into our practice. So my guest is Susanne T. She is from the UK. And I want to welcome you back, Susanne. Did a great job in the last episode. You shared your story and some of your two-way prayer writings, and it sounded like for you, two-way prayer was it's kind of the missing element in the program. It just kind of turned you on, and your life has taken new turns and new directions. Is that fair?
Oh, yes, it made me less human reliant, was the main thing. And I just felt like I'd found the missing piece of the jigsaw. Everything became clear and complete. And I feel whole a lot of the time and at peace.
You know, for me, it added an element of excitement to the program. Does that fit for you too?
Yes, it does. I love it, and I love passing it on to other people. I run
Well, you've
two
done
little groups. Yeah.
Yes, I know you've done a great job over there in the UK of doing all you can to pass it on. Now, in the last episode, Susanne, you shared your recovery story and some of your two-way prayer writings with us, and they were very beautiful. I really appreciate that. And but I know after a while, you added the inner child work to your morning quiet times, and perhaps you could begin by telling us how that all came about and what some of those early experiences of meeting the child were like for you.
Okay. Well, I was in a two-way prayer group with you, and a few of you were sharing two-way prayer, and then inner child ones came up as well. And I could start to see in my two-way prayer that it was saying, like, speak to the child and things like that. And so I knew I needed to do it. And I just felt in situations I could feel my child being affected in things that happen in life. And you talked me through it, and we read through my early readings. And I haven't looked back. I've got a great relationship with my child today. She was very resistant and annoyed at the beginning, felt rejected and abandoned. And over time, I've built that trust up and got a wonderful partnership almost today.
Seems to be pretty common with folks who start doing this inner child work. It's like, okay, I will take the plunge. It's a little scary. And initially in meeting the kid, there's resistance on her part, distrust. It's like, well, where the hell have you been for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it might be, and is this just a flash in the pan, or can I depend on you?
Yes.
Some of that feelings comes up. Almost invariably it happens with folks. Yeah. So that was your experience, yeah. But how did it go in the early sessions? Were you patient with her and she with you, or how'd that happen?
I was very patient and almost like a parent, a bit like I feel my higher power speaks to me almost like parenting role and reassuring when things came up, because a lot of my two-way prayers, problems I took to God came up, and the child was affected, and I'd get told to speak to the child. And I did that, and we've built up an amazing relationship and trust, but it took time, and she was resistant for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a prayer partner that you work with, and I'm going to put a link to that, some information on that in the show notes. And I know you and Sandra are meeting quite regularly, and she is sharing some of her inner child writings as you are as well. Um, is that helpful to hear other people's experiences with the practice?
Oh, it's amazing. We've got such a great bond, and we're actually meeting this year. And when I meet you, and that's just my life's opened up, and I just feel it's great to relate to other people and their writings and what it brings up for me with them. And she's taught me a lot through her writings that she's been doing for many years.
Now, I want to put a little note of caution into this podcast, because it's well, you might have a little note of caution to people in doing two-way prayer. I'm going to sit down and listen to God. I don't hear too many people, if any at all. I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years, who've gotten into any kind of trouble with this. But when it comes to the inner child work, it's going to be working with your ego and with the unconscious, and finding the kid inside, and then dialoguing with her. It's a little different than two-way prayer. And so anyway, what I want to recommend is if you're not stable, if you're not doing two-way prayer long enough, if you don't feel comfortable doing this work, by all means don't do it. But if you feel stable and you've got some good recovery under your belt and some good experience with two-way prayer, it's almost like God is going with us in the journey. I mean, that was my experience, that if I didn't have the modeling of God listening to me, dialoguing with me, answering my prayers, I'd be a little more hesitant of going inside and opening up that door. I see you shaking your head. That
Yeah,
fit for you too, huh?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I felt safe. So anyway, good to have a prayer partner or a therapist or someone, if you get in too deep, that you can get in touch with them, and they can help you with it. So some of your early experiences with the kid, she was hesitant on trusting. What was her name? What's her name?
Susie,
Susie. Okay.
yes.
And just like use a term of endearment when doing the two-way prayer writing, sometimes it's real helpful to do a little term of endearment. Hello, my precious. Hello, my dear. To kind of get some of those juices flowing. Where did you discover her inside when you first met? My experience was Billy, my kid, was under the bed, hiding, and very, very suspicious, very suspicious. As I said earlier, are you gonna just open this door and then slam it shut again, or are you gonna be consistent? Can I trust? So that sounds like that's what some of those first few meetings were for you as well. Huh?
Yes.
But then she started trusting you
Yes, over time. When I
over
first
time.
met her, my child was up a tree actually and
She up a tree, up a tree.
and escaping from reality.
Wow. Yeah. So in your imagination, that's where you saw her.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. And now in two-way prayer, you at least what I suggest for people is not to dialogue back and forth with God and with you. I think in two-way prayer, the focus is to listen and allow the voice to speak, but it's different in inner child work. Here, there is a place for dialogue. There's a place for the ego to play its role and for the kid to respond. And so there's a back and forthness. This is more like writing a short play where each of the two characters are there. Sometimes even there's a third character with the higher power playing a role. But in the writing, it's a back and forthness. That's the way you approached it as well, was it?
Yes, that's the way I approached it. I had listened to other people sharing theirs, and yes, like you said, over time, it just flowed, and like I almost got advice and warnings sometimes from the child.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a wisdom there that kind of
Mm,
surprises some of us.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're doing in the practice is you take on your own personality and you write from that perspective. And then you do a shift and you take on the personality of the kid, allowing that voice to come through in a manner in which they might actually speak to you. Okay. So let's go ahead and perhaps if you'd read one of your inner child writings, people will get a better sense of how this all sounds.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the same thing that we did with your two-way prayer writings. I'm going to just kind of,
Okay.
record how this is striking me. So go right ahead.
Hey, Susie, how are you? Kid, I'm good actually. Feel more at peace. South, that's great. I have been working on us and we are growing so much. Kid, yes, I feel it. I'm more settled and free to go out playing. Do you want to play? South, yes, I like to play too. We're going climbing this week. We are good at it. Kid, I am not surprised. Was always up a tree when I was young. I love climbing. Please carry on playing. Makes me happy. South, I will. I am bringing out our inner warrior. Kid, great. I always loved having adventures and taking risks. South, laugh out loud, not always in a good way. We did a skydive when we wanted to raise money to go on a mission in South Africa. Kid, I love our playful time. I used to do it to escape. South, sorry to hear that you had to escape. Kid, that's okay. At least we don't now. Self, no, we are the opposite. We face everything and recover, not forget everything and run. Kid, the world feels less scary and I feel safe with you around and holding my hand.
Beautiful, beautiful. Uh, couple of thoughts that I jotted down. Number one is I love to hear other people's writings of this. My kid likes to hear. I can almost feel him joining in the playfulness. All right, and playfulness is what really came through in my encounter with the kid. I'm very serious, studious, all that sort of stuff. You know, I don't have time for the play. And that was one of the ways in which the kid suffered. I mean, I grew up in an alcoholic home at 6 or 7 years old. I think I was saying to my inner self, well, somebody's got to be responsible here. It's going to be me. So I don't have time for you, kid. And he gets shoved to the sidelines. Some of that go on with you?
Yes, I went through a lot of early childhood experiences that made me just block her out and forget about her and abandon her. And I carried that on through my addiction. And I've only just rediscovered her now.
There was some bullying that went on when you were growing up from other kids. Is that right?
Yes, I was just frightened of everybody. And the only way I could fit in, I found, was to act out and do what people dared me to do. Um, Made me feel like I had the attention and almost acknowledgement of other people.
But it wasn't the real you doing that, was it? It was the
No, no,
false you. It's like I become who the world wants me to be, or who I think they want me to be, or how I'm going to survive in this at the expense of my true self.
that's
And
right. Yeah,
yeah, and Susie's much more your true self, isn't she?
yes, she is. I acted out like that, and it was just a class clown because it was people I put on pedestals and admired, and for them to like me, I thought I'd do what they say.
Right, right. At the expense of becoming myself.
Yes,
You know, and that's the discovery that we have to make, and that's why I think this inner child work is so important. It's going back to revisit some of the wounds, the hurts that we picked up along the way, held on to, and hopefully now are ready to let go of, and go back and do the work to heal the kid. I love the phrase inner warrior. So it's like courage. You're getting
yes,
in touch with some courage to do some of the stuff that you've been hesitant to do. Foolish
yes,
things.
yes. I
Kids
feel
love
very
foolish
brave.
things, don't they? Yeah, put a crown on their head, and
Yes,
I remember I had a trauma in kindergarten. Everybody got to be king for a week in kindergarten. You wore a little crown, and at the end of the week, they took my damn crown away.
ah,
Oh my God, it was terrible.
ah.
So I became an alcoholic. King
You
for a
got
day, as Bill Wilson once said. But again, it's a falseness. The kid escaped up a tree. What do you think that's about for you?
hiding from the world, I think, because I was so fearful of everybody. I put people on pedestals and felt less than,
Yeah,
and that I didn't fit in with anybody.
yeah. So for me, it was under the bed. For you, it was up a tree, but it wasn't in relationship with the
No.
world and with people. There was a disconnection that was happening there. And intimacy suffers as a result of that, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Love is almost impossible. And so this practice is again going back to that woundedness. And just like God was kind of loving on me in two-way prayer for a long while, now it's my job to mirror that and go and love on the kid. And that's my work. And only I can do it. God can't do it. God can't do it. Okay. So the relationship began to change over time then. The trust came in.
Yes, it is very much.
Yeah. And I think you had told me you and she dialogue during the day.
And we
Is that?
do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And formed a partnership.
Yes, that's what it feels like. I get advice and, like you said, wisdom, and it feels like I'm the parent almost, but sometimes she can be wise as well and give me advice, parental advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a back and forthness, a compensation that happens there. The parts, particularly the parts that are missing in my adult self, I can see them realized in the child. Of course, I mean it's not like I give them the keys to the car. I mean sometimes they might want to play all day long,
Yeah.
and there's work to be done. There's a serious side, but can I find a balance between these two? See, yeah, good. Did you ever go for a while not checking in on her?
Yes.
Have you had that experience? It's kind
Yes,
of
I have.
a repeat of the abandonment. How does she respond?
Well, where have you been almost? You said you wouldn't leave me again.
And you did. I
Well,
do.
life got busy, and I apologized for that.
Nice.
Um, and we've built the trust up again now, and I write regularly.
They will forgive, but it has to be based on truth, on
Yes.
honesty. Kids are quite honest, aren't they? I mean, they'll say the damnedest things. We're good at lying, and they're they may be good at fantasy and imagination, but they're not innate liars. Truth comes kind of natural to them, and if I will deal with them truthfully, they can respond.
Yes.
Got another writing you could share with us?
Okay. That's fine. Hey, Susie, how's it going? Kid. Hey, I'm out playing on the swings, imagining I'm a princess. Self. That's nice. I remember we used to spend hours on the swings. Kid. It makes me happy when we chat. Self. It does me too. Sorry if I get too busy sometimes. Kid. That's okay. Just brings back memories of not putting self first with him. Self. Him. Ian. Kid. Yes. Self. I'm sorry you feel this way and brings up bad memories. We are free and live by God's self others today. Kid. We lost ourselves when we met him. Self. Yes, but we have found ourselves an identity today and happy in our own skin. Kid. So pleased. I never knew who I was and where I fitted in. Self. We do today. We have a purpose and love ourselves and life. Kid, keep checking in. I forgive you. You were lost, but now we are found. Thank you. Self, exactly. Enjoy playing. Kid, I will. Love you. Self, love you. Bye for now.
Hmm. Yeah. I just felt you checking in with that lost part of yourself, and I could feel it healing in that process. And to me, that's what that writing does. And I will sometimes go weeks without checking in on the kid, and it's a repeat of the abandonment. But if I will be honest about that, ask for forgiveness, and then show up, he's ready. He's ready to forgive. He's ready to forgive. You mentioned the abuse. Now, Ian was it was an unhealthy marriage that you were into, and you got severely abused in that marriage.
Yes, I did. He was very violent. He became a heroin addict after I'd been with him about a year, and
Yeah.
he was very abusive. I stayed with him for 8 years and had 2 children, always trying to think he'd change. Um, I kept myself in a position to be harmed when I could have left when I had my first daughter. Um, but I stayed there thinking I couldn't survive without him almost.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, it feels like my daughter did find me again in recovery. Um, and it feels like the inner child work with her. She's very resistant and untrusting, and it's taken really a long time to build up that relationship. Not on the speed I would like it, but
Right.
obviously it's in God's time, not mine.
Exactly. And we want to rush it, and no, they're going to take their time. I know a number of people who have had that relationship with their children, uh, and it models what's going on with our own kid, and that isn't that helpful
Yes.
in understanding where they're coming from.
It's been very helpful and a big realization, really. I didn't ever put the things together, but it just happened. I had a big realization around it. And it's amazing, this work. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's just changed my life and how I react and respond to things. And I just feel like I've healed all my trauma in the past almost. Um, yeah, I just feel like a totally different person.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we regain our soul. So some people say the kid represents the true self. That's
Yes,
that's the soul. If I'm out there acting in the world, what you said in the writing, I never knew who I was. Never knew who I was. And so I'm going to try to be, you make me who I can be. And that can gets us into some terrible relationships.
yes, it did.
Very destructive. You be for me what I can't or won't be for
Mm,
myself.
yeah,
And if we can't do that for ourselves, it's not going to come from another person.
no, I didn't value myself.
No. Yeah. What they told me is we attract to the level we are at.
Yes, exactly.
I thought that was a helpful piece of advice. If you want to take your inventory, your own inventory, look at who's around you. Look at who you're attracting into your life. If it's really unhealthy people, there's a pretty good chance it's a reflection of my own inner values that are not there. I don't value myself. I don't take care of myself. Um, well, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Uh, you got one more that we could hear? I just love hearing these things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I do value myself today and I love myself as well. And I'm happy that I've got a purpose to help others today. Hey, Susie, how are you? Kid, hey, I'm good. I'm glad you sorted things out with your friend. I hate losing friends. South, yes, I put on our big girl pants and dealt with it. Kid,
So there was a problem.
yes,
The problem going on here
yes,
in your life, in your relationships,
yes,
and you're doing two-way prayer work, and you're checking on the kid and seeing how the kid responded to that.
yes,
So yeah. So you put on your big girl pants and
yeah,
you dealt with it.
yes,
And she liked that.
she did actually, yes. Very
Hmm.
grateful.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I love our newfound confidence and assertiveness. South, did she remind you of anyone? Kid, yes, childhood bullies. South, sorry to hear that. We have nice friends today, like family. Kid, I try to trust you. A bit wary of people still. South, I'm trying to get a balance between love, compassion, and boundaries. Kid, stick to those and be careful and wise. I never had boundaries. South, I know, but I'm creating them now. Kid, great. South, we are seeing our baby tomorrow and grandbaby. Kid, goody, I can't wait. I never want to lose her again. Worst time of my life. Did you contact her when I asked? South, yes, I did. Kid, I missed her so much. That's when I took drugs I said I would never take to block the pain. South, I know, I hear you, sending you so much love. I've got you. Kid, I feel held and safe. Thank you. South, it's not at pace I want. It's in Sky Daddy's hands. Baby steps. Just trusting, doing his work in the meantime. Kid, just keep contact. Never let her go again. South, I won't. Love you. Bye for now. Kid, bye bye. Come back tomorrow.
One of the things that came up for me when you're writing the bullying, the re-experiencing of past traumas. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you got bullied a lot as a kid, and then you're into a relationship with somebody in your adult life, and those feelings come up again.
Yes.
And the kid, you're re-experiencing the trauma. All right. One thing that I've learned in this practice is if my response to a situation is disproportionate to the event, it's probably my kid who is responding.
Yes.
In other words, someone's being a bully, someone's being an
Yes.
idiot, and God knows the world is full of bullies and idiots. But if it triggers that thing in me, then I become terrified and I overreact to the situation. That's the kid. Does that make sense?
I can feel that now in every situation. It's usually around passive aggressive people. They remind me of the bullies and people trying to control me or not taking no for an answer.
And these are those stuck parts in
Yes.
ourself that have to be gotten to if recovery is going to happen. And this is the emotional recovery work that we've got to do. And I don't know what the percentage is, but my guess is somewhere in the 90% of the work we're going to have to do is going to take us back to that childhood stuff. So this is very practical. You know, it's not it's not just an exercise in imagination and feel good. It's really deep inner work to find those stuck parts in me that have not matured. And it gives me a way to dialogue with them, to let them have their say. But you know, what you said in your thing was very important. She said, I never had boundaries. Susie said, I never had
Yes.
boundaries. And then you said, coming from your ego self, I'm trying to create those boundaries for us. So Susanne, I really want to thank you for sharing your writings with us. I think they're beautiful. I can feel the healing that's going on in your life as a result of this. And maybe in closing, I'd ask you just maybe share with listeners how this has really helped you and how it's different from the two-way prayer process.
Well, this experience has really helped me. It's helped me deal with situations, and when I feel triggered, the child feels triggered. I feel like I can deal with them. I don't get resentments easily now. I don't get as fearful. I feel like I can go straight to the child and we have a dialogue and everything's okay. I don't feel the need to rush to phone somebody, for an example. And the two-way prayer and the inner child and other work I've done, I just feel more emotionally mature and secure, and um, just everything's changed in my life. I feel like I've healed most parts, and having a two-way prayer partner has been very helpful for me, and always checking it out when in the beginning that I was on the right path, and taking guidance from yourself and others. Um, it's just been amazing. I can't really put it into words, but I've got the most peace I've ever felt in my life.
Got any advice for people out there who might be a little reluctant or fearful in starting this deeper journey into the inner child world?
Yes, I'd start off with two-way prayer. And when the time feels right, just have a conversation with people who've done the work um, and is experienced in it, and just check you're on the right path and share the first few. And I'd advise people to get a two-way prayer partner as well.
That's really helpful, isn't it? Isn't it?
Mm,
That
yes.
you know, and you know, people will sometimes write to me asking, can you help me find somebody to do the two-way prayer partnership with? And I'm always sad to say, no, I really can't. This is very intimate work, um, and it can't really be a matchmaker in this regard. But if you will ask in your two-way prayer for God to show you somebody, you can teach them the process. It's really quite simple. Uh, and if you've got a trusting relationship with that person, uh, maybe you first teach them how to do two-way prayer, and then in time share some of your deeper work with them. And when they're ready, then they will start doing that work themselves. And then you get to the level where you're sharing with one another, benefiting from one another. Every time I hear you share both a two-way prayer and an inner child session, it resonates with me that you're touching on the things that are happening with me, or sometimes need to be happening with me. You know, that I need need to go to that place because I haven't been there in a while. The kid brings energy, kid brings playfulness, but as you say, sometimes we're amazed at the wisdom that
Yes.
that they know. There's a knowing that comes from them that the ego doesn't really have access to in any other way. You know.
And I love
Well,
playing as an adult today as well. I love going out playing. So
yeah,
we play
you're
together.
rock climbing and
Yeah.
doing all sorts of things that maybe a few years ago you wouldn't have touched.
No, I'm living the dream and living life to the full. I'm living, not existing.
And and I think that's maybe the deeper level or reason behind this. We have substituted meetings for so many things, and I'm all for meetings. I think they're great, but they're not a substitute for life.
No, exactly.
And God wants us to live life to the fullest, to enjoy, to play,
Yes.
to rest, to do some of the things that the ego side of ourselves might be reluctant to do. Okay. Well, listen, Susanne, thank you once again for having the courage to open yourself up and share an even deeper part of your recovery journey with us, the journey to the inner child. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for asking me.
All right. And as I say, from time to time, well, next week we're going to do another woman, because I did want to kind of pick up on this, 2 women from the UK, as in the 24-hour book, who have done the work. So my friend Donna in the States is going to be here, and she'll follow a similar path. The first week sharing her 2-way prayer journey with us, and then in the second week we'll look at the inner child work and how that complements it. So I thank you guys for listening, and I hope this information was helpful. If you'd like to send a note to Susanne, please feel free to do so. You can write to her through me. Just send an email at twowayprayer@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to forward it immediately to her. So thank you guys for listening. God bless, and keep coming back.